You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The Ecosystem Approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach show. The human body has amazing power to regenerate with what we call the human solar panel. But wait, your solar panel is not working. Why? We'll talk about the why in detail. We'll also talk about some famous people that are talking to us from the other side and telling us how the same energy that is keeping your solar panel from working has affected their life and death. Stay tuned.
This is an amazing topic. Oh my gosh.
So, Jason, what is the broken personal solar panel?
We all have a personal solar panel that has the ability to regenerate your essence, your soul.
Yes.
But it doesn't work.
Why not?
And it's supposed to build us up. It's supposed to regenerate us. It's supposed to, so that as we get older, we get better. But it doesn't take a genius to look out and see our retired population is not regenerating.
Correct.
They're disintegrating.
Yes, they are.
And they become angry, grumpy, cantankerous, difficult.
And I'm going to say even hollow.
Yes. Dull, having a smaller life, not a bigger life.
Right.
If we were regenerating, it would be so much different.
Yes.
And there's a dark energy. We call it the 80% dark energy block.
Right.
It sounds scary. It sounds awful, but it answers so many questions about how life works, why things happen the way they do.
Okay.
It's a big deal.
Well, and I'm going to add the ecosystem approach. Once you start using it, and I recommend everyone does, once you start using it, what happens is you start to see, in the beginning, you see a bit and a piece there, but then you start to see there's this much and this much. And I mean, I can go on and on. And what is the most amazing thing is how using the ecosystem approach, clearing, removing a piece of that 80% every day will make a difference in your life, and you will gain amazing new life for yourself every single day, and then help others with it as well.
So you're regenerating your solar panel, and the solar panel is regenerating you.
Yes.
And the reason we know this is because as intuitives, we've been clearing the negative energy, the blocks to our solar panels.
Yes.
And as we see more and more information, we pass it along to you.
Yeah.
But we're regenerating. We're getting better. Things are happening to us, and it's hard to describe.
Yes.
And it's not like we're growing another head or there's weeds growing out of our ears, that sort of thing. But
speak for yourself. One of those.
We're feeling it. So the Ruth Bader Ginsburg story is the best example of this dark energy block.
Okay.
And you're going to talk about that story and how she's came to us, but she had this deep belief in her own power and determination. And she had all these health challenges. She had so many cancers that she was diagnosed with at the end of her life that she overcame or had under control. And then she was criticized because she didn't retire when Obama was in office and they had a democratically controlled Senate.
Correct.
So see if you can ask her to come in.
All right.
She's been talking to us, and ask her to describe what happened. Did she really believe she could hang on?
She did. Let me just jump in.
What did she say?
She and I'm going to do part of this from recollection when I talk to her about it. But I'm also, if I need to adjust something, she'll
She'll tell you.
definitely step in. Yes.
Okay.
That woman has strength. That soul has strength that is just amazing to me. And I'm not talking brute strength. I'm talking about a strength and determination to do what's right. She knows innately in her soul what's right. Here's the problem.
So how did she say it to you? What did she say?
She said that I asked her, what happened? Why did you die when you died? And she said, I thought I could hang on. Mm-hmm. I had no idea. I knew something was amiss, awry, but I needed to hang on because I knew what was right. I was determined to prove that I knew what was right with what was going on in, I'm going to say, our country and this world.
And she really felt that she could not only hang on, but she could go on for the rest of the 4 years, right?
Yeah, she did. She really did. And yes, she would have to take a little more time off than what she imagined. But what happened was she thought she could hold on until Biden got in office, and then she thought she could do it like she did it before, with pure determination.
And she had been successful with that.
And she had been. The problem is, and she didn't know this until after she died, that the 80% of negative energy that Jason and I are talking about,
that she now understands because we've been talking to her about it.
Exactly. But she sees now how that 80% was actually eating her alive.
Yeah. Oh.
And it was doing it by eating this part with cancer and that part with cancer and that sort of thing. And we don't need to go into detail about that. But what she's telling me is the fact that she sees now when you remove 80% or start to remove those pieces of 80%, you gain a clarity, but you also have an understanding of
how toxic it is
and how much it destroys, and you don't even see it.
Oh,
and
yes.
and so we're going to talk more about Ruth and the death in later on in the show, but I just want you to understand, and she wants you to understand, that by using the ecosystem approach, you can start to see this negative energy, and you can do something about it.
And in the next segment, we're going to tell you exactly how the dark energy got her.
Yes.
That's a fascinating part of the story.
It really, really, really is. So Jason, let me ask you another question.
Okay.
Thank you, Ruth, for your input.
Stand by, yeah.
Stand by. Thank you very much. How did we develop the idea of the 80%? Why did we do that?
Well, it came because of our clients that, we've been working with clients for over 25 years.
Yeah.
So they would come to us, we would talk about the dark energy, and they could see it in themselves when we started clearing them, of course, and they were clearing themselves.
Right.
But then they would say, well, that famous person there, or that person in history there that they achieved
Correct.
so much, I want to be able to do something like that.
Correct.
I want to have more. I want to be able to be more successful.
Correct.
And they assumed that those people had less dark energy attached to them than the rest of us.
That's correct. And in that, in that assumption that they, I remember one client said, "Well, I cleared, and now what's my percentage?"
Yeah.
And
they would run a running total.
They really did, because if you clear enough, but understand that there is so much negative energy around us because it's been in the shadows. It's been, for lack of a better way to say it, in the background. It has not just blatantly come forward, with an exception of a few times in history. And we'll talk about that at another time. The point that I'm getting at is that these people that achieved greatness, and those that were looking at these people that achieved greatness, they just assumed that it was that because they were great, they didn't have as much negative energy. But I guarantee you, I went back and looked, all of us, both Jason and I, went back and looked, and we're still looking. That's why I said all of us, because we're using the Alliance now as well.
We were shocked when we
Yes.
saw that the people that have achieved greatness had 80%.
Yes.
We almost didn't believe it. We kept looking and there was other people and other people and other people, and they all had this 80%.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And by the way, they didn't really understand it until after they left and we started bringing it forward. You know, I need to say this. Bashar, Abraham, and Seth, they all came in with the same idea and even an understanding of it. But the one thing that the 80% kept them from was talking about that 80%.
Well, it wasn't just them.
No, it
because
wasn't, but
because
that was an
Esther
example.
Hicks and Daryl Anka and Jane Roberts.
That's right.
They didn't see it.
No.
So why would, because channeling is a two-way street. That's one of the other things that
Yes.
we found out when we've been talking to them.
Yes.
Is that they channel us when we're channeling them.
Right.
And they see what we see, and if we don't see it, they don't see it.
Correct.
It's an amazing perspective on how this all works.
It really is. So, you know, I guess the point that I'm getting at is that there's some amazing things for all of us to discover still. It's not just, it's all the way it is and that's it. We've got so much more to go. And I'm going to say to you, start removing that negative energy right now so you can be part of all of this.
Okay.
Jason, what is the summary of this segment?
We discovered the 80% energy because we became good at removing the dark energy attached to ourselves.
Correct.
Which exploded a whole range of abilities, including intuition, channeling ability, and our own personal solar panel.
Correct.
If enough people could start removing their dark energy, their lives would start to shift.
It's true.
And so would the world in general. That I can't emphasize that enough. It's such a huge thing.
Yes.
The ecosystem approach was designed to help you remove or clear as much of your dark energy as you are able.
Yes. So in the next segment, we're going to start talking about creating your own reality that Bashar, Abraham, and Seth have been talking about since the beginning, and how to activate your personal solar panel, excuse me. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to start talking about creating your own reality that Bashar, Abraham, and Seth have been talking about since the beginning, and how to activate your personal solar panel. Jason, what is the missing piece that everyone is talking about?
It's not just that dark energy exists. It's
Yes.
the amount of dark energy present.
Yes.
People are completely unconscious. Sometimes, I've heard talk about the shadow side,
Yes,
and dark
yes, yes.
energy.
So have I, sure.
And
Yes.
the dark energy, 80% dark energy is huge.
Yes.
It disrupts everything and everyone. That's why it said that you have to have so much persistence and determination, and even being diabolical to be successful and have accomplishment.
Yeah.
Because there's so much you have to overcome to be successful. What happens is that dark energy gets pushed into a corner, but that it's a really diabolical corner.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm thinking about doing another show about some famous people and their dark energy and how that's manifested. Because when we have our heroes, when we read history, we just see the good stuff. We don't see the bad stuff.
Well, even if we do see the bad stuff, it's not this much bad stuff. It's this much bad stuff.
It's like a footnote.
It really is, compared to what we've seen.
I've been observing more and more leaders, CEOs that are narcissistic. I even saw a couple books written about it, how current CEOs in the Fortune 500, a lot of them are sociopaths that have a very obvious dark side. And That's part of what's happening today. That obvious dark side comes from the 80%.
And the other part of that is that these I'm going to say CEOs and the people that work with them, when you have that much negative energy and that much power, they don't care about what's right. They only care about accomplishment.
People criticize Ruth, and we're going to talk about
Yes.
her and her death in just a minute here.
Okay.
But they criticize Ruth because of her stubbornness and not stepping down or retiring
Right.
when Obama was in office.
Right.
You know, and thinking that she could make it for another 4 years after, with all the health conditions she had. But so let's talk to her. Let's bring her in.
Let me ask the question: how did the dark create a situation for Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death?
Well, it was the 80%, and we
Okay,
know that
yes,
now.
we do.
She's just starting to learn it by talking to us.
Yes.
We've been channeling Bashar, Abraham, and Seth, and they come in and talk to us every day. we got these little bits and pieces here
Yeah,
and there.
yeah.
Ruth came in the other day.
And which was really kind of interesting. She came in the other day, and I said, Ruth, what do you want? What is it? Why are you here? And she said, I need to tell you something. And I said, okay. She said, you've really been talking about that 80%. You and Jason have been talking back and forth, and you've been talking to the others that are on the alliance about that 80%. And I said, yes. And she said, I want you to know, I didn't really realize how strong and the strength that 80% has. And she said, not had, has, because you asked me the question, Patricia, the other day. What happened? Why did you die when you died? Why did you step out of your physical body when you did? Because the truth is, once you step out, everyone, you don't get to come back. Not like that. There's things that have to be done before you can come back.
Yeah.
And I realized that was a footnote. My apologies. The bottom line is that she said that I went to sleep, and the next thing I knew, I heard Marty, my husband, his voice.
And he's already, for those of you who don't know.
He's been gone for at least 10 years.
Yes.
Before she was.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the exact time, but she said, I heard his voice. And so by the way, I loved the man, and he loved me. We had an understanding and a clarity between us that I didn't have with anyone else. And I heard his voice, and so I looked up, so to speak, and I couldn't see him, but I heard, "Come over here. Come here. Let's. I need you. Come over here. We need to talk about something." And by the way, we would do that with each other often. So she said,
Alive and dead.
Alive and dead, yes. And she said, I got up and I stepped to the other side, and there was negative energy in physical form that was not Marty laughing at me because I believed it enough. I believed that it was Marty, and it was a lie.
I mean, this just touches me. It's a personal story about this dark energy. We see it all the time.
Yes.
We saw it when my mother died.
Yeah.
The 10 years leading up to it.
Yes.
We were fighting with the dark. We'd clear her for a little bit, and she would get better.
Yes.
She would. There'd be a little piece of the solar panel that would be activated, and then but what got to the point at the end was that we were clearing and clearing and clearing. We were literally exhausted.
Yes.
We were putting so much energy into clearing her, and it would
trying to make her comfortable and all those things.
It only
Go
helped
ahead.
a little bit. And it was overwhelming her.
And it was, and here's the other part of it. I need to say this. When we were clearing her, especially in the beginning, there would be a light that would come into her eyes.
Yes.
And you could see it on her
Yes.
face. It was quite beautiful. Yes. And by the way, his mother was one of the sweetest kindest, most loving, caring people I had ever known. And I was very lucky she liked me. And yes, and I admit I took care of her. But going back to Ruth, Marty often took care of Ruth in ways that no one had ever done for her before. And in turn, they would have these amazing conversations that would enable both of them life force that was pure and clean. And that 80% would be pushed away. The problem was, for both of them, it had not been cleared. And so it kept building and building and building.
Here's the most important point of that, okay? This not only did the 80% create an illusion,
yes,
when there's that much, it can create all sorts of illusions, voices in your head.
Correct.
Oh, this is going to happen. Don't do this.
Yes,
marry this guy versus this guy, and it can be a complete illusion.
Yes.
But it also. I forgot my point.
Your point is that I believe
Yeah.
that when you start to clean up, I'll say it this way,
Yes.
what happens is then you can ask yourself the question, is this in my best interest or is it not? And when you can start to see and hear and feel the answers of what's right and what's wrong, then you can start making decisions because you've used the ecosystem approach in your highest and best interest.
We've seen this since we've been clearing ourselves.
Yes.
That our decisions are better.
Oh.
Their outcomes are better.
Yeah.
Even if, there's always two outcomes. There's always two choices, usually maybe three.
Sure.
And they all have bad
outcomes,
possibilities.
Yes.
Nothing has a pure,
well,
perfect.
There's a good side and a bad side of everything, everyone.
Yes. But this takes the power of the bad side and helps us with the good.
So with that said, Jason, how, we did the understanding of the 80%, correct?
No, not creating your own reality.
Well, then Jason, when you understand the 80% dark energy, how do you create your own reality?
So this is what Bashar, Abraham, and Seth have been talking about. Mm-hmm. We're going to help you create your own reality. Except that the biggest part of it, which is 80%, was not accounted for because the people they were channeling with didn't see it at all.
Yes.
They had this view of the world that was positive that just didn't work. So, if you create your own reality when you remove enough of the dark energy.
Correct.
You don't. The reality that you're creating is based on who you are authentically.
Yes.
What's happening now is they would say you create your own reality by saying these things over and over again.
Well, the I ams. Yes.
And saying, okay,
by the way,
I am this, I am that, or
yes.
This is what I want, and you create pictures and vision boards and all those things.
Right.
That's not the way to do that at all.
Well,
because it doesn't account for the 80%. The 80% just laughs at that. This says, oh, yeah, good, do that.
Here, let's have fun. Which is not fun. It's there's a really important story in all of this, and it needs to be told. So Jason, I'm going to hand it to you. When you first met me, you wanted to talk about how angry I was.
Well, and it certainly wasn't a very diplomatic thing to say, but I was going to offer this clearing process to her,
and he had first just started figuring it out. Let me say it that way.
It was just in the very, very beginning.
Very
I said,
yes.
"Yeah, do you want to try this?" And she thought I was trying to hit on her, and
he was.
But to me it was all business, and I think that surprised her. But that's. But you didn't see it because
no. And first off, he came to me and he said, "I want to talk to you about how angry you are," and I went, "What? What are you talking about?" And he said, "Well, let me be blunt. It's filling the entire office and all of us are being affected by it. Well, what's the first thing I do? Oh my gosh, it's whatever he's talking about. It's all my fault and I'm going to have to quit my job or I'm going to have to..."
Which is the 80%, by the way.
But exactly. And he said, well, let's try this first, so to speak. Let's try this process that I'm just really starting to create. And I said, you know what? There was something in me that really knew I could trust him. So I did. And he started helping me remove this negative energy. It changed my life. It changed the perspective in which I was seeing life. It changed the perspective in which I was even using anger. So I just want to say, give it a try, everyone. Now, Jason, are we going to talk about activating our solar panel?
Basically, there's two things. Okay. One is when you remove the negative energy, and then we have two things that you can do, like activating life force, which we'll talk about at the end of the show, and using planetary energies, which we'll talk about in future shows.
Okay, sounds really good to me. So, Jason, what is the summary?
Dark energy has interfered with Bashar, Abraham, and Seth and their mission here on Earth because without acknowledging and teaching the removal of this energy, their message and their objectives cannot be fulfilled.
Correct.
The 80% that we discovered is the missing piece that answers questions about why and how the world works. It's easy to see how the timing of RBG's death has significant implications for our country and the world. They said, we've been waiting for you because this is the missing piece that we've been searching for. The 80% dark energy is the reason why things don't work out the way they should. The key is actively removing the dark energy consistently and often.
In the next segment, we're going to talk about how Jane Goodall has connected with us and wants to be part of the alliance, as well as the implications of the 80% dark energy leadership, accomplishment, and evolution of the Earth. This is exciting. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about how Jane Goodall has connected with us and wants to be part of the alliance, as well as the implications of the 80% dark energy leadership, accomplishment, and evolution of the Earth. Wow.
It is huge. I mean, this affects everything. We want to know, well, why do things happen? Why is the Earth so screwed up? Why does things feel like it's falling apart right now?
Yes.
All those things. We get asked that every single day.
Exactly.
It's a big question. It kind of explains it. So,
well, Jason, let's talk about how we connected with Jane Goodall.
She came to us and she wanted to be part of the alliance. So do you remember that when she?
I do.
I do. So tell us what happened when we were channeling Ruth Bader Ginsburg, right?
Actually, Ruth had come in, and Ruth, by the way, isn't one that I can call upon her, but Ruth usually just drops in when she wants. That's that stubborn,
There's this big boldness
in its way, and I'm like, oh, okay. But she also has a connection to. You've heard us talk about Eleanor, which is someone from the way past, back in the late 1800s. That knew me and another friend, but then also Bashar, Abraham, and Seth. So with that said, Jane came in and she said, I want to be part of the alliance. And I was like, well, this is
she died October 1st, so it's been really recently.
It really, really has. And so, you don't want to jump the gun here, I'll say it that way.
There's a transition period that we have to allow for her.
But Jane Goodall, first off, what an amazing woman. She and Ruth, I have to say with great clarity, their mark that they left on all of us, don't ever forget it because it matters.
Well, and what's interesting is that they're kind of forming. They didn't know each other when they were alive.
No, they didn't.
But they're starting to form a relationship with each other and with us.
And the alliance. Which is
Bashar, Abraham, and Seth. Yes.
So amazing. So anyway, so Ruth came in and said, I want to be part of the alliance. And I went, well,
No, Jane.
I'm sorry. My apologies. Jane said, I want to be part of the alliance. And I said, well, let's give it a little bit of time. And she kind of backed off for a second. And then she said, I want you to know I can see the 80%. And I want you to know I can understand exactly what it was, because I have been all over this world and I saw that 80% happen here and there and everywhere.
She just didn't have the words for it.
She did not have the words for it. And that part was like, why didn't I? That was because of, and I told her, that was because of your own 80%. And so she said, oh, now that is something I will have to look at. And so she went away and saying, I'll be back. And I said, fine, I have no problem with that whatsoever. She came back in a few days later and she said, you need to know, Patricia, you need to know this starts with you and Jason. It's not hopeless. We can all together do something about this. Brings tears to my eyes.
So inspiring. It really is.
It does. Yeah. That we cannot do nothing. Now is the time. It's time for us to step up and realize that by joining in an alliance, and I'm talking to all of you out there as if I am Jane Goodall, because she's the one who's speaking right now. Everyone, step up. Start using the ecosystem approach. Start removing negative energy, because it starts with you personally, and then we all grow in a way to help this earth. We cannot let this earth die. By the way, that's part of what the 80% is doing here, a major part. It wants to take over this planet.
It wants to block our evolution.
And by the way, this planet is the most valuable in not only this universe, but all the other universes around. We have something very, very, very special. We have free will.
And life force.
And
we're going to talk some more about that. But what's really cool, what's really key here is that we've always, both Ruth in her way, and Jane was all about getting people together collectively and trying to save the earth and overcome climate change. But the problem is when you start to try and have a movement or start to go forward, you don't account for the 80%. No. The 80% just, what happens is that when you start a movement, people start to fight amongst each other. There's competitions. There's hurt feelings.
That is correct.
They start to have different perspectives. We should do it this way, and someone says this. We should do it this way.
Wait a minute. What is the ecosystem approach for? It is to help exactly what Jason was just talking about.
Identify those things and remove them.
And remove them, and then see what you see, and then use what you have within, because all of us have within this amazing energy to save not only ourselves, I'm talking about humanity, but our planet. We all came here with a purpose, and it's time that we understand how to understand what that purpose is and how to use it. And by the way, that came directly from Jane and Ruth.
So we want to talk about how that 80% affects leadership in the world.
Okay.
And people rise to the top using will and determination.
Sure.
But that's so tainted by dark influences. Now, I've got a whole list of things. We're not going to have time for that. Okay. Elizabeth Holmes Theranos, this is recently, she's still alive. She claimed she could do hundreds of blood tests from a single drop of blood. She was found guilty of fraud,
Right.
and she's in jail now. But I believe that she knew innately that you could create your own reality. She knew that if you believe strongly enough, you could have this happen. But what happened is that dark energy tainted it a little bit,
Just enough,
and made her cover up negative results because she wanted to have a little bit more time. And the market was pushing her to get results and
by the way, that's negative energy.
That's negative energy. That's the 80%.
That's right.
You know. So we see that in all sorts of leadership positions where people are good people are trying to do something really noble, but they get caught up in, well, I want to do it. I have to do it. I'm under pressure, so I'm going to take these shortcuts or whatever.
Yes.
And the 80% loves that because that's what brings it down.
Well, and Jason, I think you should talk about John Muir for just a moment. We'll do this in other shows.
He's we're going to talk some more about John Muir.
Yes.
We see that he was the founder of the Sierra Club and the movement to save the earth, basically, and to preserve wilderness. But what he did, and this was kind of interesting because it's very personal to us. We live in this area, but he was very much against putting a dam. It's called Hetch Hetchy now, which eventually came through to create a water source
for
San Francisco Bay Area.
That is correct.
And this is during the time of the San Francisco fire and the earthquake, you know.
That's right.
And there was people of poor people and immigrants that didn't have any resource. Any sort of access to clean water.
Yes. And of course, when you don't have access to clean water, what happens is the result is disease. And so, but he was so determined that you shouldn't take away he saw the wilderness as a cathedral, almost like a spiritual and you can't ever undo it. And he became so righteous about that. Yeah. I think that it didn't help because they went ahead and they built the dam. That's right, but the righteousness came from dark energy.
That 80%.
So,
yes.
Jason, what conclusions can be drawn from Jane and Ruth about the nature of the world today?
Without having the intention to actively clear and remove dark energy, the best among us can be taken away, blocked, or prevent technological breakthroughs that can serve humanity.
Correct.
No one is immune from dark energy.
Correct.
Evolution requires the removal of dark energy, and without it, humanity will just be running in circles. That's such a big deal. So here's the other part.
It's really important.
I think it's one of the most important. Many people without self-awareness or consciousness, which is most people today, become pawns of the dark and act on their behalf. The dark energies find someone who doesn't know who they are, what their motives are, is not very self-aware, and those are the people that can do some really bad things, even though they have no bad motives. They have nothing in their heart that makes them, but the dark energy says, well, they talk in their head, they talk in their ear,
correct,
and say things.
Right.
That's why the movements to make the world better become bogged down with infighting and conflict. Yes. So dark energy distorts truths and philosophy, so these movements never quite move forward, including the one that John Muir did for the Sierra Club and preserving
what's now
the environment.
That's correct. Exactly. So, Jason, what is the summary of this segment?
Our discovery of the 80% negative energy that affects everyone has significant implications for leadership and the implementation of personal empowerment and democratic principles as promised by the age of Aquarius. Yes. Collectively, without directly addressing dark energy in ourselves, we are taking one step forward and two steps back.
Yeah.
We created the ecosystem approach to be a solution for this trap that dark energy has set for humanity. Oh my gosh, I couldn't make that any bigger than we just said it there. Yes.
So in the next segment, we're going to show you how to start removing some of your dark energy and how to do some clearings to help you see dark energy in perspective. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to show you how to start removing your dark energy to do some clearings to help you see dark energy in perspective. So, Jason, let's tell everyone how to do the clearings.
And this is so important because we think, I remember you told me this during the break, but that we tell people about dark energy, this dark energy that's attached to them.
Yes.
One person said to you, "Well, I'm a happy person, so therefore I must not have any dark energy attached to me."
And by the way, this person was not a happy person, and this person really didn't understand energy or her life at all.
But she had deluded herself.
She really had.
So for clearing, this is why this energetic process is simple. It's deceivingly simple.
Yes.
But
it's powerful.
It's very powerful. So
yes.
We say the words. At the end is always a verb like to eliminate.
Yes.
And in your mind's eye, in your imagination, all you have to do is imagine it's gathering up this negative energy from the tips of your toes up through your heart and up to the top of your head.
That's right.
And into the processor.
Yes.
You can get a picture of the processor. It's like a garbage can on wheels. It's on our newsletter. And I just want to take a minute to ask you to go to our website right now, theecosystemapproach.org. Sign up for our free newsletter. All we ask for is your email address, and stay in touch. This is important. This will be your way of learning about negative energy, dark energy, how it works in your life, how it's affecting you, how you can grow and develop and activate your own personal solar panel going forward. And it's just free. Please do it. We don't spam you.
How do they do that, Jason?
Again, go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org, O-R-G. Sign up for the free section. You can see it in the header. There's a sign up area. And all we ask for is your email address.
Okay.
And we won't spam you. You don't get a lot of stuff from us.
And there's one other point. This processor that we're talking about is really important because if you do remove the negative energies, you're going to throw. If you don't put them in the processor, you end up throwing them around. The ground doesn't need that negative energy. You don't need that negative energy, and you don't need to get up and walk into it. And neither do possibly any pets that are in your house.
So it's an easy thing to do.
It is.
It's almost deceptively easy. So here we go. Should we go?
So Jason, take it away.
I direct all my resources in all dimensions to eliminate the veils and illusions, so I can see the path for me to have life, the life that I want. Has to start by removing the dark energy consistently and constantly.
Now,
so gather up those veils and illusions.
Pick them up and throw that negative energy into the processor. I put mine over here because, I don't want to throw it on him. I kind of like the guy. So let's do that one more time. Take a breath and throw it away. And so with that said, I'm going to shorten it up just a little bit and to eliminate the barriers so I can understand at the root of my being that the 80% dark energy makes my soul or essence unhealthy and blocks the amazing that it can give me if I started to remove that negative energy. Nice and easy. The barriers, you're going to pick them up and throw them into the processor. Jason?
It's amazing power. I left that out. Sorry.
That's okay.
But it does. When you remove the negative energy, the power that you have, the intuition that you have.
Correct.
There's so many things. Yes.
It's true. So, Jason, go ahead.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that the 80% dark energy in my essence prevents me from knowing my purpose implementing my purpose, using my essence to help me soar in life with effectiveness and a deep sense of satisfaction.
Oh, wow. Nice and easy. From the tips of your toes, pick up that negative energy, the veils and illusions, and throw it into the processor. Keep going with me. And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that the 80% dark energy can see my deepest fears, anxieties, and weaknesses and uses them against me to block me from going forward and taking the first step is just to start removing negative energy or whatever's blocking you and interfering with you right now. Or you could say me right now. Take a breath. Jason?
And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that my life today has been manifested by the 80% dark energy, and the gap between what I want and what I have now is the dark energy that is blocking me.
That's correct.
So the truth is, we're constantly manifesting what's in our essence right now.
Correct.
So if you look at your life right now and say, I don't want that, it's because of the dark energy that's there.
So remove it.
Yes.
Pick it up and throw it away. Now we're going to activate life force. Life force is the most powerful energy we have access to. This is creator energy, and you need to put good things back in and remove, but put things back in. So it goes like this. And activate life force. Let me start again. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to activate life force so I can see for maybe the first time in my life that there is a path for me now, even if it eludes me and just I keep taking baby steps that I can authentically move forward and evolve. Nice and easy. You're going to pull that in from the top of your head. And any negative energy left over, you don't have to look at it. Just throw it away. Jason?
So maybe you're wondering, where do I start?
Yeah.
If this is amazing.
Yes.
This could be the key to my life. This could be the answer to all those problems and blocks and difficulties I have.
Correct.
That I haven't tried before. This is the last self-help you'll ever need. By the way, most self-help is a form of programming which is basically negative energy. It forces you, it pushes you, it says use willpower and determination. And Ruth is the first one. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is the first one to say that can only go so far.
Yeah. And
the dark will get you. So
yes.
So what do you do? Well, first go to our website again, theecosystemapproach.org. Sign up for a free section, and then go to our YouTube channel. And you may be watching us on YouTube right now. You may be listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Right.
There's all sorts of places you can get us now. But be sure you can go to our YouTube channel, The Ecosystem Approach, with Jason and Patricia Roan, and subscribe to our channel, because that way you get content that we're creating constantly, and you'll get more and more information, more and more stories about what's happening with us as we continue to channel Bass, Abraham, Bashar, Abraham, and Seth.
Correct.
And talk to them, and talk to Ruth and Jane.
Eleanor.
There's another person that came in. We'll talk about that another time.
Yes.
And the people are coming from the other side
because they want to be part of the alliance to help save the planet.
It's some amazing stories.
Yes, it is.
So be sure you go to our YouTube channel, Jason and Patricia Roan, The Ecosystem Approach Show.
Yes. So with all of that said, we will connect again in a few weeks at 1 p.m. Pacific time and 4 p.m. Eastern time. And this is Transformation Talk Radio. You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. Jason?
Living like an ecosystem is the key to a better life for you.
Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.com.